Pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 231 of the laws of 1976, the Open Public Meetings Act, Mr. Green, myself, notify the public that notice of the date, time, location, and agenda of this meeting, to the extent known, was provided at least 48 hours prior to the commencement of this meeting in the following manner. By posting such notice on the public announcement board of the Lakewood Board of Education offices and the Lakewood Township Municipal Building, by mailing such notice to the offices of the Asbury Park Press and the Tri-Town News, by filing such notice with the board secretary, by mailing such notice to all individuals who requested and paid for a copy of same.
Okay, if we can call the roll call, please.
Mr. Grunhut.
Yes, here.
Mr. Fink.
Here.
Ms. Gonzalez. Mrs. Micchio.
Here.
Mr. Ostreicher.
Present.
Mr. Seidler. Mr. Silver.
Mr. Silver was here for a portion of the closed session, but had another commitment.
Mr. Slacken.
Here.
We have a quorum. If I may, Mr. Vice Chairman, our first order of business should be to elect a president. Mr. Thomas has resigned. Are there any motions for who should be president?
Move.
Okay, who is that motion, Mr. Ostreicher?
Mr. Grunhut.
Is there a second on Mr. Grunhut being the president? There's a second by Mr. Zlatkin and Mrs. Micchio. Can we do a roll call on that, please?
Mr. Grunhut.
Abstain.
Now, Mr. Grunhut, you
No.
go to everyone else first.
I'm sorry. Mr. Fink.
Yes.
Mrs. Micchio.
Yes.
Mr. Ostreicher.
Yes.
Mr. Silver's not here. Mr. Slatkin.
Here. Yes.
Mr. Grunhut.
Yes, you said, right? Okay, we now have
his wife.
a new president. We now have the second order of business. Mr. Grunhut, you are the chair now. Mr. Grunhut, you have your gavel.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
Congratulations. Mr. Grunhut, do you have any recommendation for vice president?
Mr. Ostreicher.
There's a motion for Mr. Ostreicher to be the vice president. Are there any seconds to that?
Second.
Ms. Micchio, second. Any discussion? Seeing none, if we could have a roll call, please.
Mr. Grunhut.
Yes.
Mr. Fink.
Yes.
Ms. Micchio.
Yes.
Mr. Slatkin.
Yes.
Mr. Ostreicher.
Do I have a choice? I guess it's yes.
Great, congratulations, welcome again. We now have a vacancy on the board. There was a vote taken last time. It is my position that it could only help to have another call to fill the spot. I did review the board policy of the board. It does say you may advertise, you don't have to advertise. And that is the board's pleasure, Mr. Grunhut, as to filling the spot of Mr. Thomas. Do you have any comments, Mr. President?
No, it's a vote.
Well, who are you voting for, Mr. President?
I'd like to make a motion for Tracy Tiff, please.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second by Mr. Ostreicher. Any discussion? Seeing none, if we could have a roll call.
Mr. Grunhut.
Yes.
Mr. Fink.
Yes.
Mrs. Micchio.
Yes.
Mr. Ostreicher.
Yes.
Mr. Slatkin.
Tracy.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Tiff, we have a chair right here for you.
No, we don't. We have a chair right here. I told you, over here.
Actually, the board president decides that.
I didn't know it was that
It's right here.
Mr. Grunhut decides that. And we have some spots empty here. That's Mr. Seidler's seat. That's Mr. Seidler's seat. Right here. Need some sanity. Sanity is needed. I'm only sitting by Mr. Green and Miss. Okay, we'll take care. Mr. Tiff will be taken care of. Mr. President, if you could handle the agenda now. We already did roll call. There are no presentations, no minutes. This is a special meeting. And now, Mr. President, we're up to recognition of the public. So that would be J.R. Tracy.
Through the chair,
Oh,
I
sorry.
have a request. I have something personal that I have to leave at about 8:25. Is it possible to vote on the
There are only 5 people signed up, sir. We can get this done rather rapidly.
5 times 4 is 20 minutes? That'll be 8:30.
Well, okay.
Can we vote on the agenda first? and then-
Well, we don't have
Okay.
okay, Mr. Zlatkin is now leaving, it's 8:10. He does have a child here with him, a future board member. If you're gonna have to leave at 8:25, Mr. President, that would make sense. We need a quorum to act.
Thank you.
Yes, so can we just,
Michael, we'll have someone here in a few minutes.
Okay.
We have a quorum, that's not the problem.
Okay, first speaker is Mr. Tracy. Is Mr. Tracy here? That was you. You are here. Welcome. Mr. Hobday. I never saw you sign J.R.T. Tracy.
Just say 4 minutes.
Yes.
Good evening, Phil Hopday, 30 Schoolhouse Lane. Congratulations, Mr. President and Mr. Vice President. And congratulations, Mr. Tech. Thank you very much. We're glad to see you've taken your seat. I think that this was an absolute excellent combination. I looked at this, it's a very shallow menu tonight. I think you're here to do maybe one thing, and I understand that. I was hoping that we could get into a little bit more about there's a DVD out called, entitled The Cartel. And it's Education plus Politics equals Dollars. I think it is wonderfully well done. It should be a scenario that should be viewed at the Board of Education meeting. I have a copy, would like to bring it or send it to, there you go.
Bill, I just gave it to the superintendent.
And
Okay.
I've seen it. It's an excellent tape.
It is an excellent tape, and it's one that, you know, it's everything you ever suspected. And there it is on tape. Many of our, one of the members on the tape being interviewed is Mr. Malone, the assemblyman from the 30th Congressional District. And it's just so well done. And I think it takes about 20 minutes, and therefore it would fit into your timeline for presentations prior to or at the beginning of meetings. And I seriously suggest that you review it or view it personally first, and then if you believe that it has that bit to formality to present at the meeting, I think it would be well for everyone to see it. And it is just so well done that you think, oh my God, it is for us now to make sure that every child receives the best education that we can possibly give and cut through all the other problems and issues that are possibly preventing that. We must raise those academic scores. We must make sure that the teachers, the administration have the funds to be able to do that. And it's just our obligation to go ahead and do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Annette Carney.
Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to follow up, and if someone could let me know if we're going to discuss this at the next meeting, the regular board meeting, in reference to security in the schools, especially at the high school.
If I don't mean to interrupt, but February 24th, the superintendent was so directed to make a presentation.
Next question was, last year, Mr. Oestreicher, we were off record discussing, we didn't know who was really running for the board in the past. Like at the last minute, you see all these names go up. So I was just wondering if this year we could implement a meet the candidates night or something along those lines so that we know who's who running for the elections in April. And last but not least, again, communication. Are we working on anything to communicate from the school to the parents from the parents back to the school and having follow-up come from the schools to the parents. Those are all my questions.
Through Chair, if I can make a comment regarding candidate night or candidate day or whatever it is, meet the candidates. I recall when I first ran 9 years ago, there was a very significant meet the candidates function in one of the retirement villages, I don't remember which one. And something like that can be organized on your side of the fence, so to say, on your side of the table. I'd be more than glad to participate. I think would be a problem as far as I'm concerned.
Great, and meet the candidate nights can be done. As far as the communication question, Ms. Silva?
Yes, one of the things that, we had to cancel the principals meeting on February, but in February they were going to be told that every month they have to put out a bulletin, because at present, out of my 6 schools, 1 and a half put out a bulletin. So they are going to be instructed to have bulletins, whether it's highlighting what's taking place or notifying parents of different things. The other thing that I know that the public has raised, and you have raised, Mrs. Carney, was communication with parents, whether it's, you know, we're going to have a delayed opening, we're going to close, et cetera, et cetera. We are now looking, we're talking to Honeywell in order to have that system so that once a parent gives us either a home number or a cell number, it'll be an automatic once it's decided. So all we're doing right now is looking to negotiate to get the best price, and Honeywell seems to have that. So it will depend on how quickly we can do it. The board has to approve it, but we're...
Will that be on the agenda next meeting?
you know what, I don't know, because we're still looking into the cheapest price. So it'll depend on how quickly we can do that.
Cheap, you mean the most responsible, not cheapest, right?
Of course.
Of course. Okay.
Cost effective, quality maintained, okay?
Thank
All right,
you.
so that will do.
Anaja Williams?
I did have some questions on what I've been asking about the last couple of weeks, which is the parent portal. But we'll have a sideboard conversation because I also want to talk to you about a learning portal to be included in that. Questions that I'm asked tonight, I'm going to try and ask all 7. Ms. Silva, back in September, we talked about your decision to go with the everyday math. So, would you consider that the everyday math curriculum is a streamlined and coherent curriculum? Does the everyday math curriculum help the teacher provide instruction that leads to mastery? Does the everyday math curriculum provide the students with the tools for proficiency in fractions, decimals, percents, and negative numbers? Does the teacher using the everyday math curriculum provide clear modeling, extensive practice, and specific feedback? Does the use of the curriculum allow the students to simultaneously gain conceptual understanding, procedural fluency, and problem-solving skills? Does it promote effort and persistence? Does it use formative assessment, and is it made available, that assessment made available to the parents?
Those are your questions, sir? Thank you.
With regard to...
Be ready, because we're marking your exam.
I know. With regard to the mastery, you've indicated everyday math. One of the things that we noted in the much more traditional rote method of teaching is that children don't attain mastery. We could look and ask children after they've graduated, and you can tell that they really haven't mastered it. You could look at our rates in terms of our children passing. So this particular program across the country, particularly in urban centers, has proven to help the children get that mastery. I've experienced everyday math in my previous job, where I had 14 schools, and we were making the most incremental gains in the entire area of Essex because we had implemented everyday math. With regard to tools, one of the greatest things about the everyday math is that it actually gives the kids manipulative. So unlike most of us who learned fractions and learned multiplication tables because it was drilled into our heads, not that we understood the concepts behind it, we just verbalized what we could memorize. And a kid like me, I couldn't memorize, so it was terrible for me. And I would believe that, I once said to somebody, I wish I had been taught math using everyday math because it links why you have to, for most kids, I'm gonna ask you, why do we need to multiply? What's the difference with fractions? One of the greatest things about this program is that it actually gives the kids experiences. You asked me about problem solving. One of the things that I've asked the principals to start doing, because they've implemented everyday math, is to have bulletin boards where they show what's called exemplars. They're given problems, and then kids have to demonstrate how they got to an answer. And every kid is going to have a different way, as long as they get to the right answer. And the greatest thing about this is that once, one of the things we noticed in undergrad and grad is that teachers aren't really given, this country doesn't really give good instruction in math. What simultaneously happens for those teachers who don't, we have experts in math, but a majority of teachers in the United States don't have that, and that's all been researched, is that these teachers also learn a different way of learning, of teaching math, because it's so interactive with kids. So in terms of whether the teachers are giving clear models and feedback, this program requires for them to give feedback with the exemplars. Now, this is our first year.
Did you prep this? This is excellent.
No, I'm very excited about this program. And the teachers, I can't tell you that they're
The
expert
record should
yet,
reflect
but
Mr.
within a
Seiler's here
year,
at 20.
within a year, 2 years, these teachers become expert at teaching it because the everyday math. Additionally, when we bought it, we have professional development that takes place this year and next year. So in terms of that, I have great hopes for, and you asked me about formative assessments. That's one of the things they have throughout. And we have the books that we can show you, the teacher's guides, that insist upon it. Everything is based on whether or not, the teachers follow it. But from my experiences, and what I'm getting back from the teacher, coaches, the coaches are saying that the teachers are excited and the kids are excited. So I am looking forward to an increase. I mean, I'm also praying, but.
No, we can't have crosstalk, and we've exceeded it, we are now, Pastor Wilson. You can, Ms. Silva's here daily, except when she's not, but she is here all next week. Pastor Wilson? No, I'm sorry.
I'm Harper.
I know, I'm sorry. No, Pastor Wilson, closed session is closed. There are 2 addendum for the agenda. Mr. Green, if you could read them into your microphone. Sorry.
Yes, I can. The first addendum is for Mary Neidler to be hired as a certified teacher of the blind at a per diem rate of $125 per hour. The second one is for Eileen Greco to be moved as a master planner, scheduler, programmer of data at the high school at 15% of her current salary. This is provided, this is in accord with the LEA contract.
Albeit expired.
Okay, and also in accordance with past practice, and also it does not conflict with any other duties that she has.
And that person currently is an English teacher and a curriculum coordinator, so we have to guarantee there's no conflict. Are those the 2 addendum you have, sir?
Yes, they
All right.
yes, they are.
Is there anyone making a motion as to the agenda as addended? Anyone making a motion as to the agenda?
Move.
Mr. Seidler, second by Mr. Fink. Any discussion?
You have a question, Mike. The teacher that's leaving, is she being replaced by somebody else?
No, she's not leaving, that's what I was trying to clarify. She's a language arts teacher, she's a curriculum coordinator, and she was doing the job, so I was told, of the master planner and the data person. We are having some issues as we speak as to printing out schedules and grade GPAs, as long as it doesn't conflict with her other positions, which is something will have to be determined. So she's not leaving anywhere, she's just getting additional work. What? Starting immediately, starting tomorrow. Okay, as addended, agenda has been, any more questions? Could we have a roll call, Mr. Robert Green?
Mr. Brunhunt?
Yes.
Mr. Fink?
Yes.
Mrs. Micchio?
Yes.
Mr. Allstriker?
Yes.
Mr. Seidler?
Yes.
Mr. Slatkin?
He's gone.
Oh, that's right. Mr. Tift?
Yes.
through the chair. Chair,
Yes.
there is a meeting, a special meeting Monday. There is a meeting Monday. As far as I understand, the meeting will be 7:30 closed session. 8 o'clock will be a public session. We do have a union negotiation meeting with a state mediator. The union team from the board will be meeting at 5:30. The union and the board will be meeting at 6, and that will be concluded by 7:30. At 7:30, we will have a closed session, which has been properly advertised. 7:30, for all board members. 8 o'clock, there will be a public portion, and then that meeting will be closed. But we are going to have some preliminary discussions regarding the budget on Monday. Clear?
6 o'clock is for all board members?
5:30 is for the union negotiation team, 6 o'clock is for the union negotiation team. For all board members, 7:30. 7:30, because after all, Mr. Seidler, how long does it take to be nice?
Not long. Question, for the budget meeting on Monday, can I have just one thing to be prepared, which I'm sure I just found out today. Somebody should please review the transportation routes and make sure that there are no routes that are above the threshold.
Okay, Mr. Gus Kakavakas, Gus the Bus, is prepared to make a presentation on Monday regarding transportation, Ms. Silva, I was told.
Yes, he is.
So he should look into that there are no routes above the threshold for, I guess, non-public, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, or any,
Or any. Well, the only threshold we have is non-public of
Is
8.
there aid in lieu?
That's separate and apart, but we can communicate your concerns to Gus the Bus, and we can look into them. I hope I understood what your concern was, but if not,
Okay, what's the threshold then?
8, I don't have the exact number, but 867, it's around that area, which is.
894.
894 went up, okay. 894 per, if that's the number, for a non-public child, you can't spend more than that on each child.
Okay.
Okay, and that was the only announcements I had. Everyone have, unless there's something else, good night. We have to, oh, there is something else.
Yes.
You want to,
Mr. Chair,
Good question, you have a question?
so are we going to make a motion to rescind?
it's on there,
It's on the.
on your agenda. Okay, is there anything else?
I move to,
There's a motion to adjourn, is there a second?
Second.
Any comment? Roll call, please.
aye.
Union, be prepared to meet with us on Monday from 6 to 7:30.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?